Greetings, I am Liz and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together! Welcome back. We are here doing our run that is ramping up to the release of the demo for Motya Awakening.
Yes!
And we're very excited about it. And let's get some Midi in the flesh on.
I smile at that, but I'm sure it comes out a little defeated. My last few deliveries ended up going more smoothly than I expected. I'd worried that it would be a race against the clock up to the last delivery, but I ended up having some time left over. Maybe I overestimated how long the deliveries would take. I panicked a little.
Well, I appreciate all your hard work. You should go rest up. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, after all.
It sure is. Have a good night.
You too.
I end up taking the long route back home, backtracking a little bit. I walk past Nyarg's store, which has gone quiet by this time. I can still see flickers of movement inside, but it looks like it's mostly just Nyarg cleaning up the store by himself. I consider going in to offer to help, but I would feel a little gormless after he told me not to, so I refrain. I end up taking the long route back home, backtracking a little bit. I walk past Nyarg's store, which has gone quiet by this time. I can still see flickers of movement
that's the
inside.
same one.
Huh?
I see. That's the same one. It just added on down here.
Oh, whoops.
It's just the background change.
I forgot! All right.
It's okay.
I cut through the park. The atmosphere here is different after dark. The spindly trees casting twisting shadows across the uneven ground. The air feels colder, too. And it feels different without Breton's boisterous presence walking beside me.
And just the of the crows.
Right. Also, I'm having a weird thing. Where did my sound go?
Yeah, I noticed we lost the sound too.
Hello?
It's okay.
I don't know what happened. But I'm like, if this whole episode goes quiet.
Oh, if nobody else has sound.
Because I'm not picking.
Let's go to the options.
Really quick. Hang on, guys. Sorry, we're gonna just do this here. Hello?
Maybe it's supposed to be quiet right now because Ville's being thoughtful.
Oh, maybe.
Let's try a little
did this
farther
happen
first.
before,
I'm
actually?
trying to remember.
I can't remember. Okay, we'll find out. If not, you guys, we will make different decisions. Okay. I walk past the Overlook office, which continues to watch silently over the city. The spire's eyeballs lazily cast over the landscape, though they blink slowly now and again, as if growing tired. Yeastel must be getting drained after keeping watch over all the day's events. I give the spire a small wave, but I'm almost certain Yeastel wouldn't have seen it. My thoughts feel fuzzy as I walk back home, watching the 3 suns sink out of view, one at a time. When I get back to my place, I just grab a salt packet and collapse on my bed. I usually don't eat in the bed, but I'm too tired to care today. I roll over onto my back to unwrap the fabric and drowsily bite off a small mouthful of salt. The familiar sting spreads through my mouth, hot and sharp, and I try not to think about it as I chew. Even eating feels exhausting for some reason.
Also, like salt crumbs in your bed.
Crinkle and attached to your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just so everybody knows, there's actually just no sound in this section. It really is just about being thoughtful.
Yep.
I turn my head to glance towards my window. Past the closed curtains, I can see a sliver of the night sky. 2 moons lazily traversing that dark expanse. My mouth hurts from a second bite of salt. I'm probably done eating for the evening.
Like Ville, you're bad at chewing.
I know. I do the bare minimum to wrap the salt back up so it won't scatter over my bed during the night. But that's the absolute limit of my energy for the night. Even knowing I have to get up to clean up before falling asleep, my limbs feel so leaden, and I find myself drifting off.
Bye.
And as my eyes close, I wonder what tomorrow will be like. What everyone will be doing during the eclipse.
Yes, good questions.
A lot ended up happening on the day of the eclipse. Breton went missing, which was the most alarming. It seems he went somewhere on the day of the eclipse and never returned. I ran into some of the other Salt Scouts later who said that Breton had found something amazing and probably went off to explore it more thoroughly. They said he was probably fine, but just didn't feel like coming back after his big discovery. It wasn't the most comforting thing to hear, admittedly, but I wanted to believe that Breton was doing fine. It grew much harder to meet Yeastel shortly afterward, too. He spent a lot more time inside the Overlook pod, locked away in that flesh shell, and the other workers in the office would often accept my deliveries instead. They explained that Yeastel had undergone a big change during the day of the eclipse, which allowed him to work more efficiently than ever. The city became really safe and peaceful after that, but I did miss getting to see Yeastel in the mornings. The ARC store remained the same as ever, actually. In fact, almost nothing changed on that front. I continued to deliver to him, and he continued to quietly tend to his bees. Sometimes I'd linger to pamper one of the bees, but he never asked me for anything again. Even when I offered to help, he politely declined, saying that he was fine. And maybe he was, but the sense that I'd missed something important still lingered. The eclipse itself was beautiful, of course. Watching the moon impose itself over all 3 suns and blink at the sky in darkness in midday was as captivating as I'd expected. Even more so, maybe. I could see why this was such a big deal. But that was the end of it. The eclipse lasted for a few minutes, and that was it for me. Though the streets were filled with celebrations for hours afterward as people professed their love for each other, or committed risky crimes, or dramatically changed the courses of their lives, my life continued quietly on its way, like a vine crawling across a rock, slow and steady and subtle. And though part of me will always wonder if things could have, or should have been different, what's done is done. All I can continue to do is work hard and help others as much as I can. I'm happy with where my life is, and I'd like to keep things that way.
There we go, and that is the first ending.
That is the first ending.
So if you don't date anybody, that's where you end up. And I think I like all of those wrap-ups in some way. Like, there is a bit of melancholy there of going, but none of those people were, like, as much as you know them and they're your good acquaintances, none of them are your close friends.
Yes.
They're all your professional friends. So, yeah, you don't get to see Yeastel, but again, it's like you weren't close. So it's I'm familiar with this and it's very pleasant, not like a giant loss in your life of someone abandoning
Well,
you.
it was also like, this was my routine. Exactly. And when you're very much like, in the way that Vil always came across to me, as I'm very routine oriented, that can be really unsettling to some people who go, but every time when I get up in the morning, within 5 minutes, I always end up going and brushing my teeth.
Or this is what I do. Or every day I get up and the paper guy is there at the same time, so I say hi. Doesn't matter if I don't even know the paper guy, I just always say hi, and that's part of my routine. It feels weird if he's not there.
And now that can be some level of neurodivergency, but it can also just be people get used to things, you know?
Well, and the thing is a lot of people get used to their very casual relationships, even in the way of, like, when people go to high school or any kind of public school, and they're not necessarily friends with someone, but they see them every single day just about for 4 years.
Right.
And they graduate, it feels weird not to see 50, 60, a couple hundred people that you've seen every single day for years, even if you've never talked to them.
Yeah,
it feels like a loss.
Well, also some people talk about, actually, that's one of the reasons why, at least based on my understanding, why actually graduation ceremonies, or just ceremonies at all, are actually really different. They're supposed to mark basically transitional periods.
The end of
and
something.
Also, and that way kind of actually give people something to do. So they actually talk about that it's really important, like, so for example, if you ever go get your GED, or you ever accomplish a task, do something that feels like a ritual to you, that's sort of like a changing of the times, or something special.
Officiates that you finished it.
Right, so you can actually help
a piece of your life has changed.
Actually either process it, or maybe even move on, or do something else.
Yep.
So that way you're not stuck lingering. Like, some people have actually even talked about, like, let's say you have a bad relationship, and they go, okay, you've had a bad relationship, you're broken up, and you guys are just ghosting each other now, right? It didn't end well, right? And you guys actually weren't even really officially able to end it, it just stopped, right?
Right.
They talk about, like, one of the things you can do to actually help yourself go through the process is actually let yourself mourn it, but then, like, so go through a ritual of mourning, as it were, as if maybe even the person died.
But you certainly that you've lost them.
Yeah, and actually perform something that feels sort of like it's an ending kind of thing. Whether it's let's take some of these items, let's bury them in the backyard, let's talk about all the good times that we had, but also, acknowledge that what it was, and also say that it is actually over. Go
you could
through
also
your
write
process.
A final letter kind of thing.
Oh, you could do that
never
too.
goes, that you don't send to them, or that you burn or something like that.
Right.
Anyway, I did like how this one actually had a solid end where Vil doesn't seem unhappy. Curious as to how their life might have changed, and interested in things that seemed important to other people, but then weren't, but they didn't know how to engage with because, Vil had other priorities.
Right.
And then going on. I do think it's sort of charming, though, that Vil's like, I keep trying to get, close to Diarg, and kind of missed my one opportunity. And sometimes you kind of miss your one opportunity, but it isn't a bad thing. It's just a thing.
And sometimes it's also an awareness that sometimes that's how it works. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yep.
It doesn't mean, though, that doesn't still hurt, but,
At any rate, we're going to go ahead and start up again, and I think we should probably, what do you think, skip through a bit until we get to
Well, I was actually going to suggest that we would just stop here.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll come back in, actually, where, in the next one, as it were. So this will just be a really short end.
Okay.
And then we'll just come back into another episode, so you'll have to wait.
Woohoo! One more day.
One more day. And then we'll get started on the other route we want to do, because we actually have a save for it. I just don't know which one it is, and I don't want to spend any time paddling around.
I see.
I mean, I know the magic of, editing, but still, I think it's funny to have a tiny short episode.
We can do it. Also, thank you for staying till the end and seeing this with us. When we originally did our run of Meeting in the Flesh, we didn't do this ending on stream. We only did, we just tried each of the routes. Mm-hmm. But then I was curious about the game, and I assumed there would be an ending based on my familiarity with the author and their style and doing. I feel like you would have thought about this. Mm-hmm. And so I went and tried it, and I ran into this end, and I thought it was really neat.
It really is.
And I like it. I am curious if there are other ends like this one, because I know it's possible to end up on a route and then basically turn down, and then basically make a choice to still not commit to that route during it.
Yes.
And I would be interested if that has another additional end, but there are at least 4 endings to this game, and I think that's neat.
Yes, which is pretty good, actually. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Please feel free to go check out the links below. Like we said, we were playing this game, actually, for the lead-up to Motya Awakening. There is the trailer for it in the description down below. Yep. We would love it if you would interact with the video. It does a lot for us in regards to YouTube algorithm. Please also feel free to go check out our particular links as well, other than Hal's and Miru's, who are a part of Ink Trashing the studio. We will see you then. And then, of course, we will see you back here on the channel for the next route, which is going to be Niarg.
So, it's so good. I totally recommend it.
I love this route. It's really good. Mm-hmm. So, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you!